You see this picture? You know how that is next to me? You know who that is next to me at this CSW Central States Wrestling Show? You know who that is? That is the now two-time WWE champion, the phenomenal AJ Styles. Yes, this is AJ Styles. When he was part of TNA, when he used to do some indie tours, this is the guy. And if AJ, you're watching, you might remember me as someone you nicknamed the man with 1,000 questions, or something like that. But yeah, this is a picture I got to take with him. And true, I may be looking off to the side, but I think it's because I don't know, it was the flash, or I was just happy, or something like that. I think I was ecstatic, just at a point to where I was like, I was like, I couldn't believe this. But yeah, AJ Styles. I actually met him. And tonight on SmackDown Live, currently right now as we speak, but already been shown through YouTube and the WWE.com and all that, and mostly because it was in Manchester, so they were 8 hours ahead of us. AJ Styles is now the new WWE champion. It was announced last week he was facing Jinder instead of facing Rusev. And pretty much the Rusev situation was resolved with Rusev losing to Randy Orton. So AJ now has the championship. But the question is, why? Why did this match happen? Why did the change happen? Well, I think there could be a reason for it, and a legit reason at that. You see, the reason being, well, one or two reasons. There are one or two reasons it happened. One, some people have speculated when this match was announced that it was obvious AJ was going to get the belt. And being in England, usually they like to do these kind of things to not only pop ratings, but to pop the crowd and get people more invested again. It's like they give you something to lure you in, and then knowing how this company works, they take it away. Well, they did this to lure you into Survivor Series, and it's a good lure. They did what they had to do to get you invested. Now, other people have speculated that the reason AJ won the match and the reason this match was made is WWE finally caught wind of Jinder being hurt, and the fact that he kept denying it even just fueled more. What's the saying? It just fueled more gas to the fire, is what it did. It fueled more gas to the fire every time he would go out anywhere and talk to any news sites, news publications, whatever, and say, no, I'm not hurt, I'm not hurt. When they would ask him if he was wrestling hurt, he would say no. So I'm guessing that when he went on ESPN recently and he said, or he talked to ESPN recently and said he wasn't hurt, that was pretty much enough for WWE to say, nope, you are hurt. We could see it. They probably saw the photos people would take, and even their own photographers would take at house shows, live events, of him wearing that Conseco tape or whatever it's called over his shoulder. So that could have been one of the reasons they took the belt off him. The fact that they don't want him to go in a match with someone like Brock Lesnar, being injured with a hurt shoulder. And if they want to protect him for the India tour, this is probably the best way to do it, to get the belt off him so he doesn't job to Lesnar and probably further injure that arm. And maybe someone backstage, Paul Levesque, Triple H, if you will, or whoever, said, you know what, Jinder's not ready. He's not ready to face someone like Brock. He may be ready to probably be the champion, but he's not ready to face someone like Brock. And that's why the decision was made to take the belt off him. Another reason some people have said is maybe he got popped. Maybe he got found out. Um, maybe they found out that he wasn't totally telling the truth about his body mass build. That instead of working out naturally, like he said, that perhaps he was popped for the fact that they discovered he was lying, and that actually he was using some drugs or some steroids or whatever to build his body up. That could have been it too. I don't really know. Um, but a lot of people are looking at that. A lot of people are looking at the fact that, like I just mentioned, maybe some people in WWE finally got wind of the fact that many people were not going to want to go see Survivor Series in person or even order the pay per view or even watch it on the network because Jinder was the champion and he was scheduled to face Brock. So they probably decided, you know what, this isn't helping. Tickets are not selling fast. Pay per view buys aren't selling. We need something different. And they decided, you know what, let's just give it to AJ. As people are saying that, because maybe they heard what people have said that AJ versus Brock is the more attractive matchup. That's the more attractive match that fans would like to see. I mean, you were already inserting AJ into this title picture, into this title storyline with Jinder. Pretty much fans and even insiders, legends, and alumni that are associated with you who and give and kind of put a good word in for you, that being your legends and your alumni, you know, they as well, along with the fans and insiders, realized Brock and Jinder wasn't a good matchup. And they realized that, hey, you're putting AJ in this situation with Jinder right now. Why not give the belt to him to face Brock? So he faces Brock. That's a more attractive match. That's more of an attractive matchup because it's basically a matchup of two former IWGP World Heavyweight Champions. Yeah, two former IWGP World Heavyweight Champions that have never faced each other until now. Basically, you got a match here of champion versus champion, but also a matchup to see who was the better IWGP champion. That's what you got here. Um, but yeah, I'm guessing that maybe it wasn't just what the reaction of us, the fans, like the Lexman, OTR Central, and Chase Oliver, and everybody watching live, to what I've had to say, to what the Lexman's had to say. I know OTR Central is going to say something. I know Solomonster is going to say something. I know Don Tony tomorrow evening is gonna say something. You know, the fact is WWE didn't just hear from what they had to say and we had to say, but also probably heard from people behind the scenes working for them right now, to maybe, like I say, some of the alumni and legends that are still associated with them, that this is not a good idea. That you're basically that booking Lesnar and Jinder against each other. It's not a good deal. It's not a believable matchup. And that it and that if you look at ticket sales currently because of that main event or that semi-main event, tickets aren't selling out well at all. So we need something different. And probably that's probably where the decision was made. Like, maybe I mean I don't know what the decision was to put the belt on AJ, but I think the ultimate decision. But I think the ultimate decision in the end was not because Jinder was probably a combination of things. It was probably a combination that Jinder was hurt, and they didn't want to put him in the ring with someone like Brock. Secondly, it was a combination. Secondly, it was also a combination of tickets weren't selling because people didn't find Brock against Jinder being believable because fans are smart. Insiders and all of them are smart. And they remember the last time Jinder was in the ring at the same time Brock Lesnar was. Jinder was part of 3MB. What happened to Jinder Mahal in 3MB when they went up against Brock? He destroyed him with ease. So they probably probably realized that fans, maybe even those behind the scenes, and like I said, people associated with them, legends and alumni, probably reminded them of moments like that, and they're like, you know what? You're right. We need to change this. Another thing, and also maybe it was a combination of the fact that they saw how fans were more anticipated. Because you can't tell me Vince McMahon isn't envious of the success that Triple H has had with NXT, right? You can't tell me he's not envious. So, in my opinion, Vince is like, you know what? We can't have NXT outshine us any more than they are with this whole War Games concept of theirs. So he's probably thinking, you know what? Put the belt on AJ. Fans want AJ and Brock. People are saying that's a better match. Put it on AJ. And maybe that's the reason too. Maybe Vince heard what people had to say. Maybe somebody got in his ear. Maybe like Triple H or Stephanie or Brian James or somebody got in his ear and said, "Hey, look, you notice we're not selling out Survivor Series tickets aren't selling well. Pay-per-view buys aren't selling well. Words going around that network views are not going to be up for this, all because you want to do Brock and Jinder." Maybe somebody convinced them, "Hey, people are saying put AJ against Brock at least for this night because it's a better fit." And maybe they told him how fans reacted when it was announced AJ was going to face Finn Balor at TLC in place of Bray Wyatt. Think about that. Fans got within the span of 48 hours, fans got more excited and pumped and more eager to buy the pay-per-view and watch it on the network, or more so than I think any in your house B-level show that WWE's ever put on, all because you were having a battle of the Bullet Club leaders. It was a dream match fans wanted, and you gave it to them. And the reaction you guys got from that was, to coin a phrase, phenomenal. So I'm thinking that could have been the. I'm thinking right now I thought about it. I'm thinking that was probably one of the. I'm thinking someone probably pointed that out to Vince, pointed that out to Triple H, and whoever else is in charge of SmackDown. That, hey, fans reacted well when you put AJ against Finn when AJ substituted for Bray. Why not put AJ against Brock? You've already, like I said earlier, they probably mentioned that AJ's already plugged into this program at Jinder. Why not have him win the belt out from him on an edition of SmackDown, maybe before Survivor Series, do AJ Brock, and then, hey, if they want to, whether we like it or not, you could put the belt back on Jinder before they go to India or before the year's out. Then that way you can plan on doing Cena and Mahal at WrestleMania. That way you kind of give the fans a little bit of a break from him being champion. You give Mahal a chance to heal up if that's one of the reasons. And then, like I said, you want to put the belt back on him, fine. But at least you're giving us a break because you're realizing the match. WWE's realizing the match that they were planning to give us is not going to work. Was not going to work for them. It basically okay. I'll put it to you like this: the whole Raw SmackDown concept, with the addition of the whole Raw SmackDown concept, with the addition of the cruiserweight title match, that was going to probably sell out the. That was probably going to sell out the show no matter what. Probably was. Whether we admit it or not. But when they announced Brock against Jinder, that's when ticket sales went from this to this. So my opinion, and I think anybody else would agree with this, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. One, Jinder's hurt, and they finally acknowledged that, and realized that they can't put him in there with Brock in the condition he's in, so they're going to give him time to heal up. Two, they also realized that when they made the match official, that it basically wasn't that people weren't attracted to it. They didn't see it as believable. All they saw it was Brock having a day off and just going in there and squashing a jobber. And third, I think somebody reminded them of how fans got more excited and more fans tuned in and bought the TLC pay-per-view when it was announced that AJ was facing Finn Balor. So maybe somebody reminded whoever is in charge, mostly Vince, of that that moment, of that reaction from the fans in those 48 hours leading up to TLC, that maybe Vince was convinced to go in this direction. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I think honestly it's a combination of a lot of things. If he did get pop, if Jinder did get popped for something, then maybe WWE realized, hey, maybe he's not the champion we need. Again, like I said, they can give him time to heal. They got about a little over a month before they have to go to India for that tour, right? Give him time to heal. That way, if you want to put the belt back on him, you can, but you don't have to worry about him going up against someone like Brock Lesnar. You don't have to worry about that. I think, because I think, as much as I hate to say this is a smart move on their part. If they want to put the belt back on Jinder, this is a smart move because, one, it protects him, it allows him time to heal, and then after it's all said and done in Survivor Series, at the next SmackDown pay-per-view, with I think it's in December. I think it's in December, and that's Clash of the Champions. You can have Jinder win the belt back then. So this is a smart move on their part because I think they realize, one, Jinder's maybe not ready for Brock, and even if he is, he physically isn't ready. So I think it's a smart move. And obviously, you see the reaction from the folks, all right? You see the reaction. People are more excited about this. They're more happy about this. People are more willing to order the pay-per-view, watch the pay-per-view on the network, buy a ticket to the pay-per-view if there's any left. People are more willing to go and see this, no matter how they do it, than they were when it was Brock versus Jinder. Basically, more people are excited to go and see this, no matter how they do it, more so than they were when originally it was Brock versus Jinder. Now, again, just like with AJ versus Finn Balor, you got a dream matchup of AJ versus Brock, former IWGP champion versus former IWGP champion. Who is the best champion? Who was the best champion? And you know what I think they also do? You know why I think they also did this? It's just crazy. I just thought about this. And Deluxe, man, if you're watching, I don't know if you thought about this. I think this is their answer to Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. I really do. You have Chris Jericho, you have New Japan make the announcement that Jericho and Kenny Omega are going to face each other at Wrestle Kingdom next year. WWE's like, oh yeah, you think you can give away a dream matchup at your big event at the beginning of the year? Guess what we're going to do? We're going to give away a dream matchup just 2 weeks away, and it's going to be AJ versus Brock. So top that. I'm betting that's one of the other reasons. Because here's what I'm thinking. I think originally they were going to have Jinder go over, or at least Jinder find a way to keep the belt, either by countout or disqualification. But when that announcement of Omega and Jericho was made, they said, we ain't going to let New Japan top us. We ain't going to let New Japan make a fool of us. And that's why they probably went with AJ going over Brock as well. Like, you ain't topping us. Because if you think you can give away a dream matchup at your next big event, guess what? We're beating you to it. And we're giving people a dream matchup of Brock and AJ. Think about that. Think about that, folks. It's obvious. It's so obvious. It's not just a combination of Jinder's hurt and again give him time to heal. It's not just a combination of the ticket sales. Ticket sales went good and now they are, or pay-per-view buys weren't good and now they will be, or viewership on the network for Survivor Series was going to be down, now it'll be up. It's a fact that, or basically nobody bought Jinder facing Brock as a believable matchup. But it's also mainly, I think, WWE's way of sticking it to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I really do. I really think it's their way of sticking it to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe not so much to Jericho because they have too much respect for him, but I think it's mostly towards New Japan. It's like, hey, you want to put this matchup together against Jericho and Omega for your IWGP US Championship? Fine, no problem. Do that at Wrestle Kingdom in January. Give the fans what they want. But guess what? We're going to beat you to it. We're going to give fans a dream matchup, a former IWGP champion. Two guys that were champions for your organization in a few weeks at Survivor Series. Think about it, folks. Think about it. Think about it. It just came to me. Think about it. It's just so obvious. It's just so obvious. That's probably one of the main reasons. Because there was speculation that Jinder, that despite it may look like they were going to put the belt on AJ originally, that they were going to probably still keep it on Jinder. But when that announcement by New Japan happened, there you go. There's your reason. There is your reasoning. And if anybody knows how New Japan works better than themselves, it's the new champion right now in WWE, AJ Styles. Bet me. I guarantee you, bet me anything. You could sit there and probably think all other reasons why this match was happening, why the title change happened, why this match was happening, before it took place, what could be, what could happen. But think about it. Think about it. You think WWE you think Vince McMahon likes to be made a fool of? Likes to be topped by competition, whether it's competition, whether or not it's competition from overseas? Oh, heck no. And do you think he likes to be topped by by said competition when they announce, oh, we're taking your 6-time world champion, first undisputed champion, 9-time Intercontinental champion, and we're booking him against our current IWGP US champion, one of the hottest commodities in wrestling today, Kenny Omega, at our Wrestle Kingdom show, our WrestleMania at the beginning of the year. You think he's going to allow that to happen? Think he's going to allow himself to be made a fool of? Oh, heck no. That's why the title change happened. That's why the title change happened. When I really think about it. Not just because maybe Jinder was hurt and they didn't want to further the injury with a match against Brock. Not because maybe he got popped for something, which I don't know if that's the case or not. Whether or not it was because ticket sales weren't selling, pay-per-view buys weren't selling, viewership could be down on the network when people would see it. Whatever the case. It could be all of that plus this reasoning that I just thought of. Plus this reasoning probably being the main reason. So think about it. Think about that for a second, folks. Those that are watching, think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it, folks. I mean, it's just too obvious to me. It's too obvious. It's just too obvious, really. When you think about it. Just checking something here. Yeah, you're right, Miguel Lopez. He was a bad champion, but the point is, when one thinks about it, folks, Jinder, it's just obvious. Just obvious why they did it. So that's all I'm going to say for right now, folks. Talk to you later.